Welcome to Flyers Game Day at the East Food Hall, Wells Fargo Center. It is Brian Smith getting ready for Flyers Islanders Part 2 sequel. Or Part 2.
Yeah, that works.
Or the Deuce. What we call it.
I'm getting an echo, and I don't know if it's out of your speakers or mine.
No.
There we go.
You fixed it?
I pressed the right.
All right. Pushing all the right buttons.
I am one for one.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
since you're 1 for 1, you get on the power play.
All right, it sounds good. I was talking about that thing. You notice the Flyers don't have power plays?
No, how are we going to have one?
It's just like some forward line.
Next.
And then whoever the D are. Yeah.
Next line up.
Very interesting. The way that that's forced them into it.
Yeah. Although they are going to be player back tonight. I just get the sense that, we're getting closer and closer to a lot of guys returning.
I hope so. Yesterday you had Cam Atkinson out there. Lawton was out there.
He looked ready to go.
Oh, yeah. He was going at it pretty good.
Because you have to risk it. It's knocked it off, the whole thing.
Yep. And then after the practice, you had TK and James Van Riemsdyk working on ice. So we know what's wrong with Van Riemsdyk, and he should be getting close to the end of his window there. TK were a little less clear, but probably a similar situation.
And both of those guys were working out with Ange today.
Yeah. So I feel like we are getting close, and then at that point, more or less, right? They'll be back to where they were at the start of the season. There's one where I'm forgetting.
Well, Sean Couturier.
Couturier, we knew wasn't going to be February.
Yeah.
That was. I guess we thought. Wow, it's been so long. I forgot. We thought we were going to start the season with Sean Couturier.
Yeah. D'Angelo's out tonight.
Tonight.
You don't get the sense that that's any kind of long-term thing. He tried to go today at practice, and that was going to be a game-time decision.
And I'm guessing that has to do with the blocked shot against Pittsburgh.
I think so.
More than the fight against the Islanders.
I think so.
And that to me, I saw it happen I saw the video anyway, or at least heard about it. That to me was not I'm frustrated with this injury. I'm frustrated. I'm not going to get the play tonight and go back after these guys after what happened the other night. So he probably was looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, those games he's made for those.
Yep.
And we knew that Kamula, who was recalled, so they sent Jackson Cates back down. They put TK on IR retro to when his injury first happened so they can make way to recall Zamula. And we saw yesterday John Torello, when he met with the media, said that Z was going back in no matter what.
Right.
If Tony was able to go, he had to make a decision on who would come out, whether that would I think would have been Justin Braun, based on the things that Torello said at the press conference, but we'll never know now because D'Angelo is not able to go tonight.
Yeah.
But so what do you do with the top pair?
That's a good question.
You put Z with Pro?
You could. I don't see why not. What are you going to lose at this point? I recall the Provorov Sanheim. That didn't work well, right?
No, that
so that was a bit of an issue. So I don't think you go down that road. So it'll be interesting. The one thing I'm interested to see too is what happens from here on out. It sounds like the Flyers might just keep Zamula up at the NHL level
and playing.
Just playing.
Yeah,
just playing.
I get that feeling too.
And that means that one of the veterans is going to come out as the seventh D, which hopefully you have the seventh D. Right now they probably don't.
I have an answer to the question because it was tweeted 2 minutes ago by Olivia Ryan.
There you go. What opportune timing?
Yes.
We're gonna have to,
and I lean on Olivia's Twitter.
We're gonna have to get her like a gift card or something.
Yeah, she's gonna give a Seiko watch. Give those away.
Yeah.
You got a brand new Casio watch.
$100 gift card to Portofino's. Is that what we do here?
Go see Ralph over at Portofino. Yes, I used to love going to Portofino. Ralph's a great guy. I don't think he's with us anymore. The Ristolainen playing with Sanheim, or Provorov rather, moving up to the top pair. Braun with Sanheim, and Zamula with Sealer. I think that's the wise move. Although I thought it was either probably between Braun and Ristolainen to move up to the top pair? Because I don't know if you want to put Zamula back in and on the top pair and against the team that's enormous.
Maybe next week. Yeah, maybe a game where there's not going to be 150 penalty minutes between the two teams.
Yeah.
I think we're getting close to that.
There's so much size on the Islanders. They're all big. There's some big boys like Rock Nelson. So you guys enjoy the game.
We were talking about that the other night. I didn't get to say it at the time, but these guys have like 3 or 4 guys that are all over 220, and the Flyers' heaviest guy, I believe, is Nick Delorier, about 219 and change.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big difference there. And Igor Zamula is about 125 pounds.
Yeah,
right?
what have we heard about his development? He needs to put on more weight and more muscle. And he got 18 pounds.
I can give him some.
I found it.
I'd be happy to give him some. I've got more than enough.
That's interesting. Provorov and Ristolainen.
I'll enjoy seeing how it works tonight. Seeing if it works past tonight. I can't recall that pairing in the last year. Can you?
I think that they've been together for very short periods of time, like within a game, but I don't know that it was ever a conscious effort to have them play together.
Yeah.
Because Braun last year, when Ellis went out, 4 games in, it was Braun on that top pair for a lot of the season, and Cam York and Sanheim were the 3 that I remember.
Right.
Them trying out last year. At least that's what Mike Yo was trying to do. So tonight, Provorov first line. Here's what I do know. If Risto doesn't work up there with Provorov, it'll probably be a pretty prevalent message on social media. You know what I mean?
Oh, my goodness me.
I don't know if people will just bite their tongue on this one. I just get that sense.
What a horrible signing, because that game in November against the Islanders, it didn't work well with Provorov.
Yeah, that's right. What do we think about Zamula and Sealer? I think that's a great spot to put him.
Yeah. I mean,
shelter him a bit.
Exactly. And Nick Sealer, for what we were talking about with his big team, he's a guy that can hold his own against some big guys. And you can imagine that they're probably going to be, going against the bottom 6. If they're out there against the top line, it's because of a matchup or just a mistake or something like that. So they'll be kind of sheltering him there a little bit. And Sealer, obviously he doesn't have a huge.
I know everybody at this game.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're like the mayor of this place tonight. Sealer is a guy who does not have a whole lot of National Hockey League experience under his belt, although he snuck up to 170 games now after this year and last. But he's been a pro now since 2016. He's got a good bit of experience at this point. He's 29.
Wow.
He was one of those guys that went to the USHL first for a couple of years, and then he came out of there. He was drafted in 2011. He did 2 years in the USHL and 3 in the NCAA before he turning pro. So he was one of those guys that turned pro 5 years after his draft year. So he's got a little bit more experience than a lot of folks think. So he's got the capability to hold down the fort back there, and like his first pro season, 109 penalty minutes in 57 games in Iowa. So he's got a little bit of a mean streak to him too.
Yeah, and you're going to get Scott Lawton back tonight. We'll tell you where he's going to be once we join our radio audience coming up in a few minutes. We'll give you the Flyers' offensive lines, not offensive, offensive. As Scott Lawton returns to the lineup, because Watts has played in 18 games this year. He fell on that weird check that he took in that one game, and then basically fell on his head. And that's a scary one to see.
Yeah, I saw a strange report yesterday that it was a shoulder.
Really?
Which, I suppose
I thought it was
he could have strained his shoulder when he landed on his head. But I thought the same thing. But it'd be pretty quick to come back with concussion, I guess. I don't know, but it didn't speak to me as anything but a head injury when I saw it. But whatever it is, I'm glad that it's
missed 3
cleared
games.
up.
Yeah, 4 games. That's it.
That's it. So.
3 goals, 4 assists so far in the season. In the 18 games he has played, 7 points. So it'd be good to get Lawton back for so many reasons. He's going to play the wing, but you also can use him in draws.
Crazy thing to me was that he shot the car sense commercials before he hit his head.
Well, you didn't like the acting performance? Does he deserve a Razzie for those?
It's better than the Mike Richards commercials. I'll put it that way. It almost looks like they embraced I saw a good tweet today that it reminded somebody of a Saturday Night Live sketch. Like they embraced the suck.
Yeah,
if
you're gonna suck, really suck bad.
Yeah. And so they leaned into it, if you will.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes it just seems like he's irritated throughout the entire experience.
Because he had to sit there and keep listening and reading and try and act.
Yeah, I don't know.
He couldn't. The one thing he couldn't act, that he couldn't fake in acting, was his disdain for how bad Lots was acting. That's part of the charm of it.
Yeah.
Do we have station in our ears? Is Pat back there?
You might. I don't.
I have not heard anybody yet. So
that means it's probably Pat.
Is that Pat?
Anybody else would have told you they were alive by now.
Oh, there he is. I can hear him now. Oh, he just sounds so happy too.
It sounds like he's shooting a car sense commercial, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I should actually have to move my headphones over so I can hear him because I'm again not listening to that particular audio system.
Yeah.
I wish we could put.
I didn't play for that team.
Everybody in this room is missing such a great conversation.
Okay. Well, we're trying to do the pregame show right now on the stream, and you're telling me a beer league. Come on.
Yeah.
The program.
Some of us
Are you following me, man?
I just wish you were coming through the PA here. You're not. But. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It would have been the last stream only pregame show we do all year. So hey, put him in the PA. I'm kidding. Yeah. All right, Pat, just text us a time or tell me a time when we're ready to go. Okay. Who's that? Nick Delore?
Nick Delore and Matt Martin.
Oh, they just have. What are they having there?
A friendly conversation, it would appear. I don't know if these guys have any kind of history together or not. I have to look it up, but
it didn't look.
Didn't look angry.
Just stretching and talking, and we're gonna put on a show tonight.
Yeah,
I might get some fireworks. Those two earn a living the same way.
Oh yeah,
very similarly. Both guys play an incredibly physical brand of hockey, are there to protect the higher skilled teammate, but also can do things and play the game a bit. It's not like they're, the old term goon. A goon can't play.
No.
Delore can play it.
They do not have any. Oh, hey, we're starting early.
I think that he just
fired
that.
They do not have any history of playing together that I can see. I didn't realize Matt Martin was that old. He made his NHL debut in 2010.
Yeah, he's been around forever.
Wow.
And we'll see. That's the one thing you were talking about with Zamula and facing the third and fourth lines. The only problem is that the fourth line, the Islanders, is probably the best fourth line over the last 5 years.
It has been, yes, it absolutely has
been. Was it Cizikas, Clutterbuck, and Martin?
Do you remember the trouble the Flyers had with it in the 2010 playoffs, in that bubble, the 2020 playoffs, in the bubble up in Toronto? It's just relentless fourth line. They're the one, that line, I think, won in that series.
Now, would you rather be on the best fourth line in hockey or the worst first line in hockey?
I would probably say the best fourth line because that means the three lines above you are better, and so your team is better.
Yeah, see, I'd rather be on the worst first line in hockey because a worst first line in hockey player gets paid better than the best fourth line player.
I did not consider that particular variable, so yeah, you're right. I would probably lean towards that side. It would be a better business decision. Yes, it would. It's especially in this age. There's not a whole lot of middle class right now in the NHL.
Yeah. So. Yeah, the Islanders are kind of one of the teams that does defy that.
Did you see what Rupe Hintz signed today?
Yeah, I saw the deal.
Oh my God,
huge money.
I mean, I don't know him as well as the Stars do, but I sure hope they like him because they are stuck with him for a while with a lot of money for 137 goal season.
I think he averages about 1.72, I think it is, points per game.
Yeah, that would look about right. 194 and 261 careers. So.
Yeah, so that's about
right.
Yeah, that's not a bad. They just signed Jason Robertson too, who is unbelievable.
Well, did they just sign? Because that was my first question. Was how much money are they going to left over for him?
Yeah,
so they took care of that already?
Yeah, they took care of that.
All right.
Can I get more station in my ears so I can hear the open and we can hear our wonderful producer, Pat Egan? Said no one ever.
That's not nice.
All right, here we go. And welcome inside the Wells Fargo Center. We're at the East Food Hall as the Flyers 0-7-3 in their last 10. 10-game winless skid. It's a return matchup, a home and home, the second of which is here at Wells Fargo tonight between the Flyers and the Islanders.
Yeah,
Flyers 23 seconds. Undid them in the game the other day. I didn't see it.
It's right in front of the table here. Yeah, we got a service dog visitor here.
Yeah, who left the adorable. But the Flyers, the end of that game was a little rough. One of the guys involved in one of those third period scraps is Tony DeAngelo. Unfortunately, he's not going to be in the lineup tonight, but taking his spot on the top pair will be Rasmus Ristolainen as Igor Zamula draws back into the lineup. And it sounds to me like we're going to see a lot of Zamula for the remainder of this season. He'll play on the third pair with Nick Seeler.
Yeah, John Tortorella in his media availability yesterday specifically said that he wants to develop a young player on the back end. Or at least one, if not a couple. And the Flyers right now, I think they're happy with what Cam York is doing with the Phantoms. He's playing huge minutes in all situations. We talked to
leading them scoring too, isn't he?
Yep, I believe he is. We talked to Zamula yesterday, and he said that he did the same thing down there. He was Lappy was using him everywhere. Penalty kill, power play, huge minutes. So he got that here for a couple of weeks. I think the vibe we got from Tortorella was that if the Flyers had a schedule right now that afforded them some practice time, they never would have sent him down in the first place. But he was 2.5 weeks didn't play. And so they needed to get him down there and get him on the ice. And now I think the team might be at a point where they're just going to use him. They're just going to make him the 6D, and they're going to take one of the veterans out if they need to take somebody out. So we'll see how long that lasts. But they're really intrigued by his ability to get the Flyers out of their zone.
See the ice really well.
That's the term he used, see the ice, and get him out of the zone, make that first play to get things started and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, and Tort's availability yesterday after practice, I thought was very transparent and very insightful.
It's like going to school.
Yeah, I just thought he said so many things that kind of cue you in as to this course that they're charting and trying to figure out, who to develop, who's who, and, certainly those determinations have not been made.
It's the National Hockey League, and every night you want to win, but you can't come out and say it because I can. They can't, but you can't. That I think wins and losses are almost secondary right now.
They are
to just developing players and setting the franchise up for the future. And it's a lot like what we talked about the last 6 weeks of last year becoming. This year appears to be perhaps the same way, just the way the injuries have shaped up and things like that. Who knows? Maybe they win a bunch of games and they're back in the playoff picture. But right now they just want to teach the game the right way and set a foundation that's going to last for several years down the road and try to break this mediocrity stretch they've been in here for a while.
See, the thing is, too, is just because these games aren't about result, winning and losing, doesn't mean that they're tanking.
Right.
Tanking to me is overt, and I don't think it's ever good.
So the objective is the Stanley Cup. Yeah, and the Stanley Cup is not won or lost on a Tuesday in November. It's won over a period of growth and stability and getting things established, and that's the goal. So whether that means again putting some guys in the lineup that maybe aren't going to be 100% effective right now, but they're learning to be effective. That gets you down that road at some point. So that's kind of the idea there. is to get them where they need to be.
Now, one of the things that Torch said in his availability yesterday, which was so profound, is that Morgan Frost is like a toilet seat. He's up and down.
Yes.
Not the most profound thing he ever said.
Turns out he said that about Matt Calvert, too, a couple years ago.
Yeah, I heard Freach talking about that today on the Marriage Show. And Calvert didn't like it. Didn't the analogy didn't sit well. Pardon the fun. Sit well with him. Sitting down on the cozy. You have a rim shot back there? Come on. That's my soundboard. But anyway, Frost is going to center the top line for the Flyers tonight. I don't know if you can call these top lines. There's 4 lines, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
Here's line A. Frost in the middle of Tippett and Kiefer Bellows. They've been together a couple of games in a row here now. Bellows going to face his former team again tonight. Noah Cates centering the recently back into the lineup Scott Lawton on the left side and Zach McEwen. Then your C line, or 3, or whatever you want to call it. Sedlak, Hayes, and Farabee, which was on the ice for both Flyer goals the other night. And then Lazinski moving into the middle with Max Woolman and Nick Delary. So Jackson Cates was sent back down. And we gave you the deep pairs earlier, but here they are again. Pro Walker, Mr. Lyman, Sanheim and Braun, Zamula and Sealer, Tony D'Angelo not available. Carter Hart versus Ilya Sorokin.
I like another look at that Sedlak, Farabee, Hayes combination.
Mm-hmm.
I think that had a good first start. I like to see if they can establish themselves and kind of get things squared away for all 3 of those guys. Obviously Sedlak is coming back into the league and trying to point himself on an upward trajectory. Flyers are trying to get Kevin Hayes to. I think he's providing the offense. It's the defensive side of things that they want him to tighten up and trying to get Joel Farabee going again. My concern, I think, was perhaps displayed the other night would be the defensive part of that line, if you will. They got to be careful when that line's in their own zone, I think.
Yeah.
They have to be aware of it. They just got to be aware of it because this is what we got out right now, and we need to be defensively sound here. And this is not the line you want to have out and flub the puck, or just play something on somebody in the rear end and push back the other way. You want to make sure that this line is sound defensively.
And the goaltender tonight for the Islanders is Ilya Sorokin. He's having a great year. He's got a record of 10-5, a 2.19 goals against average, having a .933 save percentage. He's been gaudy. And, Brian, when he came over, it was kind of the Russian invasion of goaltending. You had Ilya Samsonov, who was with Washington, but now with Toronto. You had, obviously, Igor Shesterkin, and you had Ilya Sorokin. And Shesterkin and Sorokin were thought of in the same, type of level and pedigree. Mm-hmm. Samsonov was not in that same pedigree, a notch down, which has proven to be the case here so far. We saw what Shesterkin was last year, which was the Vezina winner, and just frankly should have been, was a Hart finalist. And Sorokin has been that this year. So he's not a guy that's coming out of nowhere, and people didn't expect this out of him. They expected the same thing out of him that we got out of Shesterkin last year for the Rangers.
And to be honest with you, I think that if the Flyers can stabilize the skater lineup, Carter Hart can be in that conversation too.
Yeah.
You look at those 2 teams and the teams that have been playing in front of those 2 goaltenders. Obviously that helps a lot, and so Carter can get there as well. But the Flyers right now, just so many injuries, and just trying to get things stabilized. It's probably not going to be something you see him in for a while, but he is definitely going to be back there and ready to go. It's just pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, I remember doing an episode on Stick of Hockey with Kevin Woodley from In-Goal Magazine and In-Goal Radio, the podcast. And Woodsy was saying the Metropolitan Division has the potential to be the best goaltending division in the history of the game, because you had Sorokin coming over, Shesterkin. This is 2 years ago. You had the Flyers with Hart, Mackenzie Blackwood with the Devils. And there was a couple of teams that you kind of were head-scratching about their goaltending. It was Pittsburgh and Carolina. Mm-hmm. Tristan Jarry and Smith in Pittsburgh, and then in Carolina at the time, I think Peter Mrazek was still there. But they don't have the same future of goaltending like those other teams had. So, but stay tuned. We do have Ilya Sorokin. We do have Carter Hart. They will be dueling it out in net tonight. And we've also got Tim Saunders and Steve Coates. They will be giving you the countdown to face-off and all the first period action. You're listening to Flyers Game Day, brought to you by Betway on the Flyers Broadcast Network. Flyers and Islanders after this.
I'm sitting down.
Flyers hockey on the BetRivers.com Flyers Radio Network. Pregame presents the guy who was the MVP. Credit was proposing for his brother, and needed to take Yeah, Credit went to those for a day. He wanted his resident business to become his group. That means Credit. We'll get Christmas guarantee over the guarantee and 5 MVP, most valuable this Black Friday, celebrate events with deals on all business stuff. With Silver Salt Money, with 50% off on select business spaces, powered by Funk Champions Local businesses. Don't forget special pricing on the latest marketing snacks and accessories, plus free shipping on everything, and special financing with small business stuff. Call Delta Technologies at 877 Ask Dell for some deals. That's 877 Ask Dell. Nice job to pick the last we have a vision and a plan and a nice perception. We've got people showing in Pennsylvania. We chose the most gorgeous materials and we have now created our beautiful joy coffee. You know you're welcome. You know you're welcome. There's easy.com. You get some ideas. This is Philadelphia Flyers Hockey on 97.5 The Fan.
Stayed on the side, walked to the corner. They crashed it out. Everybody's on the same page where you can come out and show football, and it makes everybody happy. It's really good. So we want everything. If y'all have more time than having to go. So this is a key guy tonight because Tony D'Angelo is out. He's a little banged up. So they've got Bristol Lyman on the top deep pair with Ivan Gorgon. That would be interesting to watch tonight. Take a trip up in the corner. Right, Romano Matt Martin is met the local wall. Fires and Humphrey would couldn't really put it. And when I fell back in behind, so pull the alleys. We'll take icing as they throw over again. Now they made the loss. So I could the play. Keeper goes. There's a change up for that point. Owen Tippett. He'll be cut off by Ryan Bullock, one of the defensive defensemen in the league. Have it there. Last Johnson for the line. But now that's wrong. So we're back into the stick. Wilson checked it out and set it. That is the second and second on block. Look at the scoring on Saturday. And the team is Belmont Park. The second field for the Flyers. Through the middle, Gill took the pass and wrapped it deep, but chasing down. Step by Ross Johnson. Good play, good hustle by Zach McGill. And out of the corner, Flyers have it. The Warriors puts it in behind the goal, but keep trying to get to it. That's in front on the field. Now, takes it in control. In the corner, cranks it up the far wall. And then second back down low, but Dawson caught it up. One took a shot and hit him and laid it front and finally covered up by Sorokin. Islanders a little careless there. The Flyers almost took it in.
And that's where you assume that your defense partner's there for a reverse. But he wasn't there, so when he passes the puck, he goes right onto the stick and lock. Not Hubbard, why would you really got to figure nobody's going to be prepared for that play. We hit that in the puck, so he just fires it up, and the puck comes right back out. And McEwen is the guy to see it first. And as a result, good opportunity there. And Sorokin not only made the save.
Oh, a shot off the draw, and Kevin Hayes goes upstairs. He picked up those Flyers circle. The Flyers in the top corner. Kevin Hayes gets his seventh in the year, and the Flyers take them to the lead.
Wow. Right off of the face-off. That's becoming quite a bad for the Flyers after Tippett did the other day. But this is classic example. You win face-off, Hayes just turns right into the middle of the opportunity. The other player can't get back up there. You actually see it right behind him. That's Pavilion. Pavilion has to take the man when the puck is there. He went skating right behind him. Now, maybe according to their program, he goes to that one defenseman, but boy, I'll tell you, that was a bad play by Pavilion.
Two first period goals for the Flyers. Sedlak won the draw, and Hayes puts it in for his seventh of the year. And Philadelphia has a rare first period lead. He's got Hayes in the far corner, and back to the blue line. Then good point to one. Provorov into the middle. Jeremy gives it back to Provorov down low, and got it back out into the slot. Comes back to he swings it behind the goal, then spins into the slot away to an Islander, and New York comes the other way now. Islanders lead. The only assist by Sedlak on the goal by Kevin Hayes. Here's Pavilion. Tees it up with the line. Finally pulled the trigger, but it deflected up over the glass on the play. We get a timeout. 9.5 to go in the first. It's 2-1 Flyers on BetRivers.com. Flyers broadcast up.
Flyers hockey on the BetRivers.com Flyers Radio Network. Come to the ultimate Christmas tradition. Trans-Siberian Orchestra. One in concert. 2 shows. December 18th. Wells Fargo Center. Millions have made this their must-see holiday event of the season. Tickets on sale now at WellsFargoCenterPhilly.com. Trans-Siberian Orchestras, the coast of Christmas Eve, the best of TSL and more. The action units. Extra facility across Iowa Valley. Each has SeatGeek has your back, no matter what kind of fan you are. So whether you're a die-hard fan or a totally fan, or an again fan, here for the tailgate fan, or for the Gates fan, SeatGeek not only makes your buying it's easier than ever before, it makes just about everything easier too. So whether you're a here every week fan or a have been here for years fan, SeatGeek has your back. Download the SeatGeek app today. SeatGeek, here's your great seats.
Second 2-assist game already for the rookie setback. You see that Bullfire goal. Yeah, it's a 2-1 lead over that.
We had to vote right now. Who are the biggest surprises?
And it's happy to be close to cool. Setback, you know, setback is something right there.
I mean, he wasn't even in the drawing board. He came out of nowhere. All that with the sign stuff right less than that.
The right side, bullet. Down low, Barzell in the corner. Simon Holmstrom, he was not originally in the lineup, but they made a late stretch. Josh Bailey was not in the game. That's why Holmstrom's back in there. In his own, Barzell carried behind the back pass, and Wolfram will check the break again. Shot on goal, and there's going to be a penalty on Wall Street, so on to that ball, right next to the bench. The Flyers carry it back in the home zone. Also, wait and let the rebound for the extra time. The Flyers. They skated 4-6 on right now until the Islanders touch up. Islanders always do. Definitely good ball.
All right, this is going to be overall, we'll probably be the guy the Angelo was lost. As I mentioned before, it's all structural. He has passes, but regular with the problem with cross right people pitching on that first side. That's, you can't do that. You've got to be able to keep possession.